If you want to get the most when you sell your home, there are areas that you should avoid, and there are areas that deserve your attention. The name of the game is appealing to the masses and keeping an eye on a return on your investment. That is exactly what I've done with this property behind me. So today, I'm going to use it as a real-life example to walk you through the decision-making process so that you can avoid spending your time and money in ways that do not accomplish your goals. For over 20 years as a realtor in Northeast Ohio, I've been guiding my sellers into the right decision to make to maximize the profit on their homes. And of course, as an investor, I do the same for myself. The property I'm at here today is a flip. So return on investment was the name of the game. And that is exactly how you need to think as a seller if you want to maximize the profit on your home. So keep in mind, I'm not saying that we're going to make your house the most expensive house on the street. What I'm saying is you're going to learn how to avoid pitfalls, maximize your profit, and generate a quick sale by following the tips and the guidelines from this blueprint I'm going to give you in this video here. I'm going to show you where it did not make sense to make an investment, where it was a necessity to make an investment, and the areas where we got the biggest return on the investments that we made. Standard piece of advice. When I'm looking for a home to flip, I am targeting homes that I can resell in the average price point for any given location that they exist in. This means I'm going to have exposure to the largest pool of buyers searching that area. And these buyers are a great target audience because they're okay with satisfactory, but they're willing to pay more for something that has been improved beyond a satisfactory level. This is also a huge help because it really helps you to identify areas in which you can make improvements that dress up the satisfactory items in order to get a higher return on your investment. You're going to see many examples of that in this video. So let's start talking about what we did. Before we go inside, let's talk about curb appeal. It is always worth your time to put in fresh mulch in front of your home. Absolutely going to be a return on your investment. Cut your grass, pull your weeds, edge your lawn, clean up your walkways. That stuff is sweat equity. It's a no-brainer. Do that. Make it as appealing as possible. So while people are walking up to your home, you want to make a good first impression. It's also going to be your main photograph for your listing when your home is listed for sale. So pay attention to those things. Put some time and effort into that. Very big return on your investment to dress up the curb appeal. So additional things that we did here. And by the way, yeah, we did have the grass cut. We did those things. Now the property is about to transfer title. We're going to give it one more cut, but we're not trying to sell it, so we're not so active over here. Shutters, we had awnings over the home. So we put shutters up to dress up, modernize it a little bit. New address placard, could have changed out the light for something more modern. Definitely could have cleaned up the sides where the awnings were removed. Honestly, just totally missed that and listed it for sale and was like, oh crap, well, here we are. We're just gonna let that go. And it didn't hurt us, but that would have been something I would have said, take some time, put some touch-up paint on those blemishes and marks that were there, but it didn't hurt us. So, and the light too, the light, low cost, probably not gonna bring a big return, but it does make a little bit of a difference. So had we focused on that, I'd have spent the 60 bucks or so to get something different and thrown up a new, more modern light. But all in all, those are the things we did out here. This one was a tougher decision. A swimming pool in Northeast Ohio, especially an above ground swimming pool, not a big selling factor. Actually, more of a detractant than it is something that buyers appreciate or value in this market. Appraisers don't give it any real value either. This pool is only a couple years old. It was professionally installed, professionally maintained. It's got a pad over here for pumps and filters, and it's piped in. So it's a good feature for someone who appreciates it. In this market, the first instinct was, let's get rid of this pool because people in this market are going to value the yard and usable space more so than the swimming pool that they might be able to use for about 3 months out of the year in the weather that we have in this area. Ultimately, we decided to leave it because we felt for the pricing of the home, for the other improvements that we were making, we felt that this was something that a buyer, even if they don't want it, this was manageable enough for them to say, we'll keep it. If we don't like it, we'll get rid of it. It's not a huge expense to get rid of, but it would have been an expense, and it would have taken some additional time for us to focus efforts here. So we decided to leave it alone, promote it as professionally installed, professionally managed, professionally maintained, and no idea what the buyers are going to do with it. But somebody bought the house. We had many people who wanted to buy this house. The pool did not ruin the sale. This needed a fresh coat of stain as well. It was multicolored. It wasn't these colors. And again, it was going to be something that a buyer would walk up and it would have been very obvious. Oh, here's a project for us. People pay less to take on projects. Look at this very boring corner of the house over here. We had to waterproof. I saw a little bit of water getting into the basement in this corner of the home. So if you're a homeowner and you're prepping to sell and it's not an immediate sale, you can choose to divert the downspout, have it splash out, see if that fixes the problem, see if water no longer comes in. For me, I am absolutely not going to take that risk, and I'm also not going to put that on the disclosures as my fix, because that's going to discount the entire job that we did inside, and people are going to think that we were looking for the cheapest shortcuts possible. So the $2,500 that we spent to excavate and properly waterproof this corner, to make sure that that corner stays dry. Additionally, we jetted all of the drain tile from there, so we're assured that everything is open and flowing from here to the street on all around the entire foundation of the home. That was absolutely $2,500 well spent. I have no concerns about property disclosures. I have no concerns about a buyer thinking we did something cheaply. I have no concerns about being sued in the future. No brainer. Spend the money on something serious like that, because $2,500 probably increased our sale price by easily $10,000 bare minimum. And there's a slew of buyers who would have seen that on the disclosures and totally passed on the house if we took no action. Half of those buyers would have passed on the house if we took the cheapest action possible. We did it the right way. It improves buyer confidence and it improves your sale price. So again, if you have a reasonable waterproofer and you can do something like this, that's absolutely a huge ROI situation. This garage is one of the things that we did not avoid. I would chalk this up as a necessity. It's in the paint category. There was peeling paint on the exterior of this garage. So that falls into the category of a necessity, because that is a category where a buyer walks up and sees work. They visually see work that they are going to have to do. So no longer is it something like the pool where they say, you know, we can get rid of it in due time. It's not an urgent thing, but ultimately we can make a change. Peeling paint on a garage, absolutely a home inspector as well is going to urge them to get that painted ASAP, because you don't want wood to start rotting and things of that nature. This is a wood exterior garage. So painting the garage was a necessity. We had that done. It was absolutely worth the time and the money invested in getting that accomplished, because now again, a buyer walks in without finding anything that they feel that is an immediate necessity. The price that they pay you is going to be different. All right, getting started with the biggest expense we avoided was this driveway. As you see, it is not perfect. What it also is not, is it is not posing a problem to the foundation of the home. We're not running water towards the foundation of a house. So a home inspector is not going to have a big problem with this driveway. The big problem would be spending $15,000 or so or more to replace this driveway. I know that that is not going to bring us even $5,000 more from a buyer. So this was an easy decision to say, let's let it be. It's satisfactory enough, and we're going to make do with it. All right, kitchens and bathrooms, some of the highest return on your investment rooms within a home. So anytime that you're prepping to sell, you absolutely want to put attention in your kitchens and bathrooms, first and foremost, realistically, because again, your dollars are going to be repaid to you at the highest level of return out of any other area of the home. Curb appeal, we could argue about that to an extent. Light fixtures as well. Modernizing spaces through light fixtures is a great return on your investment because again, Amazon sells these things for very cheap nowadays, and they can get all sorts of different, modern and attractive styles. So, to the kitchen. Perfect example of dressing up something that was satisfactory and elevating it to a level that feels, again, like it's a step above satisfactory. How do we do that? We do that with a backsplash. We do that with new hardware. What we did with the existing cabinetry and the existing appliances, minus the fridge, we'll talk about that, was we went with, okay, here's our color scheme. Let's go ahead and get these cabinets painted a lighter color. The countertop was going to be light to match the hardwood flooring. Since we did the darker stain in the hardwoods, we said, well, let's keep the butcher block counter matching, tie things together, have some consistency here. And the black appliances, the black hardware, again, kind of made choices for us. So luckily we were able to play off of what we had. And again, that helps to improve the return on the investment because we didn't have to invest in cabinetry. We didn't have the extra labor time. We didn't have to invest in appliances. But that's why we got the refrigerator that we got. This is also a counter depth refrigerator because we have 24 inches in our pantry cabinet. And if you're going to have to make a buying choice, let's make the best buying choice possible. So a counter depth refrigerator is coming out to where you see here instead of the standard 28 to 30 to 32 inches, which is going to put you sticking out into this room to a point where you would pinch the traffic flow because we do have a side door here. We do have the staircase to the basement just around the bend. So this maximizes the functionality of the room, maximizes the space, obviously accomplishes the goal of supplying an appliance for the buyer, because if a buyer sees a hole here, they need to buy a refrigerator. And we know from previous statement in this video, if a buyer sees a project, they're going to pay you less. They see, oh, we have to spend money here, then we have less money to give to the seller of the home. So we want to avoid that. Light colored flooring, again, as discussed, and it does help to tie all of the whole color scheme together. Light fixtures, big ROI. Focus your attention on your kitchens and bathrooms for sure if you are looking to maximize the value of your home. So that's pretty much it for the kitchen. Kitchen and bathrooms, I'm gonna show you the 2 bathrooms. These are the biggest areas for return on investment inside the home. So this deserves your attention. And it is rare that you can pick up a property without fully redoing the kitchen and bathrooms. So when you find something where you can utilize the majority of the bulk of the cost or the labor that exists in those spaces, there's value to that. And again, we're going to talk a little bit more about that because the bathroom, the full bathroom here did not get a full renovation. It got a very similar application to it as this kitchen did. This angle doesn't look exciting, but we're going to talk about the hardwood flooring. Refinish the hardwoods through the living room, hallway, and bedrooms in this property. When you are blessed with hardwood flooring, you flaunt it if you've got it, right? So I wanted to go natural, light colored, just a fresh clear coat on freshly stained hardwoods. The problem is when these homes that are 70 plus years old have that much time in age, they're going to have pet stains. There's going to be things likely that do occur, unfortunately, that stain the hardwood flooring. So if you want to go with a light stain or a fully natural color, you can't have those types of stains. They're going to remain to be there. So if you want light colored floors and you have a black stain, it doesn't look so hot. So to avoid showing stains, you go with a darker color stain, and then that means you've got to go light because you really don't want to paint dark, bold colors with dark floors. You're going to shrink the size of the rooms. It's just going to look and feel like a smaller space. So knowing that we had to go as dark as we went, definitely kept a very light color on the walls, and then forced the choice of lighter colored flooring everywhere else that we could because we don't want the home overall to have a dark appeal to it. Okay, another item, huge return on your investment category is flooring. That's why we did the hardwoods. That's why we put in a luxury vinyl tile here. You never want to have hardwood coming up to a luxury vinyl plank. You don't want to have real wood against fake wood. From a design standpoint, you don't want to do that. So that in part is why we went with the luxury vinyl tile through this space. It's also a dining space. It's appropriate to have some tile in here and in the kitchen. It flows together. So that was part of the decision making. The return on the investment is, of course, something that we were focused on. And just a point on this tile, it's cheaper to install, easier to install than your ceramic or your porcelain tile. Goes quicker as well. So the choice here was along those lines. You know, we didn't want to spend more money than we needed to. If you're in a cold climate, this stays warmer than that tile. It's easier to replace than that tile. So this was just kind of a no-brainer. This is under $3 a square foot. And again, even if you don't do the things in the kitchen that we did or something else throughout your house, just changing out flooring is absolutely return on your investment category that you should absolutely consider because it makes such a significant change. So flooring and paint and cleaning, those again are like the basic high return on investment, well worth your consideration. Key point in appealing to the masses is the functionality of rooms and of spaces. So what I just walked into, this is the master suite of this property. It's not a huge home, it's an older home, so it's not the most impressive master suite. What I'm about to show you is something that you're not going to expect to see. And this is what we did with it. Okay, let me turn this around so you can see. We're in the master suite. This is the original build. There's a closet that it has here. There's a half bath behind us. We'll get there in a second. We did the light fixture, right? That was before we discovered what we had to do with the hardwood floors. This would have matched. That ceiling fan would have matched the hardwoods. Doesn't match anymore, but we let it go. Now this behind me, what a weird space. What are we going to do with this room? It could be an office, it could be a nursery, but guess what? Everyone can use the walk-in closet. So instead of leaving this room a bare extra space that would have felt awkward, that people wouldn't have really known what to do with, yeah, we could have advertised it as, oh, it's a great opportunity. Have your craft room, have your office, have your nursery. Not everybody has that need. But again, in the spirit of appealing to the masses and trying to think, what would the largest majority of people benefit from? Easy answer, the walk-in closet. So again, designing to establish what the space is can be very important. If you have an awkward space, identify what it is, give it a function, and make sure that you are conveying that to the buying crowd. So that is why we purchased the closet organization systems here. That is why we took out what was, and you can see there was a closet here. This was just your standard, this area was just a standard closet that was, common for this size room in the 50s when this home was built. So I don't really know exactly, when they added this room onto that room. We can't call this a bedroom because the only way to access it is through the master suite, which has the half bath and already has its own closet too. So, head scratch for a moment. What the heck do we do with this room? How do we make this appealing? The walk-in closet appeals to the masses, and that's why that decision was made. The half bath. I like to breathe some life into these renovation projects by putting some color into the half bath or into any bathrooms. Typically kitchen and bath, I'll put a pop of color, something bold, or maybe we find a wall to make an accent wall. But in this one, we chose to do it through the cabinetry in this half bath. This was enough color for this space. It's a small space, so we threw a pop of color in here. It came out darker than I intended. This is a very dark blue. I thought it was not quite so dark, but either way, it does give it a little bit of character to go into the sea of grays and whites, which, again, you can have your own preferences at home until you go to sell your home. When you go to sell your home, you're going to want to appease the largest amount of buyers as possible. So in my own home, this may not have been the choices I would make. But on this, knowing that I want to appeal to the masses, you have to be safe to an extent. So you can, throw a little bit of color in there, do something that's a little bit more of a bold choice. You definitely don't want to be a sea of gray and have everything wash out and look tacky. So this was the choice we made in the half bath. Another luxury vinyl tile floor. Again, keeping a color scheme that's cohesive with the wall colors, with the cabinetry, countertops, fixtures, all of those things. And then our lighting, I'm going to show you the lighting here was already recessed lighting, but it was the old, can light with the regular screw-in light bulb that goes up into the can. There are retrofit kits that allow you to modernize those, and that's what we did here. Very, very affordable. Absolutely a move that you should consider making as a homeowner if you have those older style recessed lights. Buy the retrofit adapters that will turn them into an LED fixture that looks like a brand new modern recessed light or a puck light. It's absolutely worth your while. Tight space, let's see how this comes out. I need to drive this home for you. You really should seriously consider doing something in your bathrooms. This is a small space. If you want to improve your flooring, it's cheap. If you want to paint it, not a lot to do. 1 gallon of paint. Countertop, not a huge countertop. Vanity, again, small cost in the grand scheme of things. So even if you have an older surround or a surround like we have here, not super attractive. I mean, especially with this corner piece here to help the water go where it needs to go. This is not screaming modern and updated. Neither is this window thing here that goes into the half bath. Kind of weird, but in this area, it's definitely not the first time I've seen it and not the last time. So we left that alone because the surround is cut off here. So if we would have drywalled over this, now we would have still had an awkward look. So we just said, whatever, let's leave it. People have probably seen this before in this market too. It is what it is. Now, two things worth, I broke a rule here with the flooring, because look what we have. We have luxury vinyl plank flooring butting up to our hardwood flooring, right? So at that transition of the bathroom, we have real wood going up to fake wood, and that's a no-no. But the best way to do that, if you're going to do that at all, is to make them as close to matching as possible. Or another alternative, potentially, to just bring in some of the tones of the real wood into the vinyl. So we did this because, honestly, we ran out of flooring, and this flooring was left in the garage of this house. It hadn't been used anywhere, but apparently it was a thought that it would be used, and it just happened to go pretty well with the color scheme. So we said, okay, I guess we'll use it. Countertop also, again, goes with the flooring. Easy choice. We kept this cabinetry as well. So we did stain this cabinetry similar to the kitchen. This is actually a shade or two darker than what we did in the kitchen. And we were leaving the chrome fixtures in the shower because it already had them. So that's why we ended up with chrome fixtures on this vanity. So this is something that most homeowners should absolutely consider, because the improvements to this bathroom may have ran us, from a material standpoint, especially since the floor was free. I think this countertop was 250 bucks. The mirror wasn't much, the light fixture wasn't much, the paint isn't much, and we put a new toilet in. So, I mean, we're under $1,000 of materials into this bathroom, and the return on this, easily, easily, easily $5,000 more sale price. I would say more like 10,000. And from an appraisal standpoint too, this helps to establish the condition of the home being elevated above and beyond some of the comparable sales here, just because we gave this enough attention to make it appealing to the way that it is. All right, a couple points I want to make in the basement here. We put probably too much lighting in, but the brighter the better if you're not trying to hide something. If you're selling your home, you want to show off the space that you have. So as realtors, we're always going to tell you, like, keep your curtains open, keep your blinds open, even leave the lights on, so that we don't have to rely on the buyer's agent showing the home to go run ahead of them and turn every light on possible to make each room look as attractive as it can look. Let's do that ourselves and make it easy as much as we possibly can. So when you're prepping your home to sell, looking for LED lights, daylight hue. If you're getting bulbs that screw in, get the daylight hue. That is going to look better for photographs. It just puts out a better light. Yes, you can set a tone and a mood with some low lighting, you know, amber type of lights, Edison bulbs, you know, in a dining space or a breakfast bar. It all has its place, but when you're looking to sell your home, the brighter, the better. So as I mentioned before, changing over those old can lights into retrofitting them into a light that looks like this. These are actual new LED lights. So this throws off a better light than having a bulb recessed up into a can that's recessed up into the ceiling. So turn your recessed lighting over into something more modern. LED, 5000K is what I shoot for. 4000 is okay, but 5000K, or if it's a bulb, use daylight. That's my suggestion there. Another point to make in this basement, that corner looks the way it looks because we have a sump pump over there. So if you're going to finish a space, don't leave an unfinished item exposed in a finished space. If you have a gas meter that comes through the wall, like we do in most of these basements, put a cabinet over it. Do something, put a closet over there. Do something to hide your unfinished items so that you make this space as inviting as possible. So again, this was unfinished, and on this project, we decided to finish this space in order to really bring our price upward. If you have an unfinished basement, the appraiser is going to compare you to other homes with unfinished basements. Those are not going to sell for the same amount as the homes with the finished basements are going to sell for. Obviously, a buyer, as I've said, is going to pay you more for more finished square footage. So that's what we accomplished here. This is a lot more intensive than some of the other recommendations. We're not taking something and dressing it up. We're actually creating value here. We're adding value by bringing more finished square footage into the deal. So this did have a good return on investment. For me, it's not necessarily going to have the best return on investment for you, depending on who you have doing your work, what you're paying in labor costs. We probably spent we already had a ceiling down here. So we had to change over lighting. So again, material-wise, between the drywall and the trim and the baseboards, and we have a door outside of the actual view of the camera here, we have what we did over here with the sump pump. We might have spent $5,000 down here. Absolutely boosted the sale price by probably in the realm of $20,000 to have this finished basement versus selling this home without a finished basement. So all of these things can get very, very tricky. As easy as it might sound through this video, you might end up at your house looking at something going, man, I don't know, do we do it, do we not? How much return is it going to bring? And it's very hard to quantify that. Again, kitchens and baths are no-brainer areas where you should take some time and invest a little bit of money because you are absolutely going to get more back than you invest into it. But you know, your driveway situation could be worse than this driveway. There might be something you might need to consider doing with your driveway for a different reason, or it's just so far gone. Or again, a roof. You know, you dress up the interior of a home and you have a bad roof, you're not going to get the results that you were looking for. You're not going to get the exact same return on everything you did outside of that. You know, if you have a bad roof, an old furnace, old rickety windows, and you make the inside look good by doing some of the things that I did here, that's a lipstick on a pig type of job. I don't recommend those types of things. So I hope this video has helped to give you a little bit of direction in your own projects. to help you maximize the sale price for your home. And if you are in Northeast Ohio, that is my backyard. That's where I've been selling real estate for 21 plus years at this point in time. I would love to help you. I'd love to be an asset to you in your move. So feel free to reach out. Otherwise, stay tuned, subscribe to the channel. I hope to be bringing more value to YouTube. Most of it lives on my social media at this point in time. But regardless, I hope this was a help. So again, if you need a realtor, if you need direction, and you're in Northeast Ohio, that's me. Reach out, love to help.